Oh man, it is that time for questions and answers from wonderful people, both from our Patreon page, the Orange Hatter Patreon, and the Orange Hatter Discord, a free and open kind of community for people who hang out and play video games. It's a great time. But today I'm going to answer some of your questions. I have like 5 of them. I'm going to go through them and talk to them about the best of my ability to do so. But let's start and stuff. The first of these wonderful questions comes from Patreon subscriber. I believe that's pronounced actually Andrew, but I'm gonna go with Andre Novak. What do you think about the rumors surrounding Wildstar's alleged upcoming shutdown? Will you be able to love again in case it actually happens? In an ancient period a couple hundred years ago, called the late 90s, a philosopher known as Cher posed the same question. Do you believe in life after love? I've kind of gone through this transition before with World of Warcraft. I mean, World of Warcraft is essentially not even close to the same game that I used to play back in high school and back in post-high school, I guess, like in college. And it's completely changed over those times. Like, you could say that World of Warcraft is as dead as Wildstar would be. On the bright side, I'm pretty sure that Wildstar is not going anywhere. Based on just a couple of things, I talked this up in the Carbine video I put out a couple of weeks ago. There should be a thing somewhere where I linked that. But yeah, that's my opinion there. I don't think it's going anywhere in the short term. I think if it was going somewhere, it would have already gone there, like it would be gone already. But, you know, that's just my opinion on it. But if it does happen, I think I'd move on. I think I'd be able to move on. It's not the first time that my heart has been broken by an MMORPG. God, I miss you. God, I miss you so much. Next up, one of the awesome Orange Hatter Discord members named Scramble Aaron asked, what's your most hilarious TBC rating story? That's easy. So there was this one night, I think it was like, oh god, it was back when the expansion first started. I was in Karazhan with my guild. I was leading our B team and we were going through, so a couple of my friends had alts. Now, 2 of these friends lived in the same house. They were kind of roommates. I think they were brothers, if I recall correctly. Doesn't really matter. What does matter is that we had taken a 5-minute bio after we finished Opera event and it opened the side door. So we're just kind of standing around / dancing like a bunch of, people who do stuff on those 5-minute breaks. And one of them comes back into Ventrilo, yeah, this is back when Ventrilo was a thing, and yells out into the microphone, who the fuck installed the nude mod? Apparently a couple of our guild members were dancing naked because, you're bored as shit in between pulls. And, yeah, apparently the guy's brother or roommate had installed the nude mod on his computer without telling him. So suddenly he has half of the raid standing around waving their floppy Draenei dicks all over the place. It was actually pretty hilarious. So we all lost our goddamn minds for a good couple minutes. The memories of Draenei dick. The next awesome question comes from Hayden the Exile Brown, and he asks, what was your favorite game growing up? That is a complicated question because there's a lot of them. So I'm gonna have to go through each kind of phase of my existence. So let's start with the very beginning. The first console I ever owned was an NES, and the only game I had for it was a Super Mario Brothers, so I don't think that counts. It was the only game I had. But eventually I saved up all of my allowance and bought a Sega Genesis. In hindsight, it was a good idea. So I had a Sega Genesis, it was pretty sweet, and eventually I got my hands on the Sonic's games because I watched the Sonic Saturday morning cartoon show and I loved it, which is kind of weird when I think about it. I got into the show. But yeah, I wound up with Sonic and Knuckles, and eventually I got my hands on Sonic 3 as well, and I think that was really the first game I really loved, to the point where I beat it 18 times when I was 8. It was pretty crazy. I used to have a notebook where I would draw Sonic levels that I would make up. It's kind of weird. Fortunately, I managed to dip out of the Sonic fandom after that point. By the time Adventure 1 was out, it was just another game to me. But I think that was the first game that I really loved. Eventually, I did wind up getting a Super Nintendo though, because mistakes can be fixed if you try hard enough. And that's when I was introduced to the single greatest video game of all time. And that is Xenogears. No, Chrono Trigger. Yeah, Chrono Trigger, that's the one. Chrono Trigger is probably my favorite game ever. period. Like, even to this day, it's still, like, up there, number one. Just because it's such a succinct game. Like, there's so much going on, but it's all linked to the same through line, and, like, the characters are relatable. It's a really fucking good game. Pro Jared did a video on it that's, like, way better than what I'm gonna say here. He goes into the reasons why the game is really good, and I actually largely agree with him as to why. But yeah, that's my favorite game of all time. After that point, I got a Nintendo 64 because mistakes can be fixed eventually, and I managed to dodge that Sega Saturn bullet. And on that one, I wound up starting with Mario 64, which I thought was going to be like my favorite game of all time. And then I got Banjo-Kazooie, and I realized that Mario 64 was kind of shit compared to Banjo-Kazooie. I don't know what it is about Banjo-Kazooie, but like Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie were games that I like beat several times because I loved them so much. They're just really good puzzle platformer collectathons. I don't know why those don't exist anymore. It's like survival horror in the early 2000s. Just nobody thinks anybody wants it. But whatever. Yeah, so Banjo-Kazooie at that point. At this point, I'm getting to the point where I have like a PC and I've been playing like probably comparable numbers of hours to World of Warcraft and Diablo 2, and I've kind of moved away from that. But like, those are definitely the games that really drove me when I was growing up and kind of got me interested in game design and all of this stuff that would eventually lead me to yammering on about them for like 8 minutes on a YouTube channel. Our second to last question comes from Corey, a member of the Orange Hatter Discord, and he asks, The Orange Hatter, what are your goals with the Orange Hatter channel, and how will you grow your audience? That's actually a pretty good question. He asked a bunch of other questions, but I don't really have answers for those ones right now, but I want to focus on this one, because I want to do some more stuff, and maybe you'll care, because I'm kind of outlining a few things that might be coming in the soonish. But first of all, I want to talk about that. So, some of you might know, I'm currently a business student as well, up here in Canada. So the last couple of months I've been a little bit slow, but I'm about to come into a whole lot of free time. A lot of free time. So with that, I plan to kind of go hard on videos for the next little while. And apparently you guys really enjoyed my open letter to Squaresoft, so I'm going to do some more stuff like that. I'm going to do more kind of weird and off the wall and fun and just kind of like fun videos like that, as well as the Orange Hatter and reviewing more games and getting more games out there and talking about more stuff. The Black Desert video is coming. It's just, that game's a lot bigger than I gave it credit for, like a lot, and they just are about to add a bunch more stuff. So I'm coming up with a video with that soon. It's gonna be an interesting video. But my big goal is actually something I'm calling the Summer of 10,000. And I think it's kind of self-explanatory what that means. I hope that over the next couple of months I can amp up my video production and put out a lot of really great stuff between, say, the months of May and August, at the very least, to the point where I could bring this channel up to about 10,000 subscribers. That's kind of my big goal right now. That's gonna be a challenge, but I think it's a challenge we can do. I mean, the last, like, 6 months, we have gone from, like, a couple hundred subscribers to almost 6,000. So, I believe that we can do it. We can band together and we can make the Orange Hatter awesome. I'm so excited that I get to just focus on videos for a couple of months and do this. And I'm really excited for where we can take it. I'm super stoked, actually. And let's make the Summer of 10K a real thing. That would be super fucking cool. And final question asked by like half of the internet: what is with the hat? This is a question that I have heard no end to, and I just wanted to kind of enlighten everybody right now. This hat is actually one of 3, interestingly enough. You see, they were created at the beginning of time by the goddesses while they were creating the world. If you collect all 3, then your wish will come true. Now, I have the hat of courage. Somebody out there has the hat of power. I don't know that one. And then there's another like hat of wisdom. I think that's in my ex-girlfriend's closet or something. Yeah, there's the 3 of them, and they're the tri-hats. And when you put them all together, your wishes come true. It's actually pretty cool. I want to thank everybody who asked the question this month for the Orange Hatter QA series. I'm going to try and do these more regularly as we get more questions and more stuff I can talk about. Whatever you guys want to hear me yammer about, I'm happy to yammer about it. There's 2 ways you can really ask if you want to pose a question to me. We have the Orange Hatter Discord channel, which is a free open Discord for anybody who wants to join. There's information in the channel description on YouTube if you're interested in checking that out. Our only rule is don't be a dick. And we also have the, of course, Orange Hatter Patreon, where you can support the Orange Hatter channel into the future. But thank you all very much for watching and your questions, and you guys are awesome, and you all have a great one.